So the more you know your students, if I link it all the way back again to if it's predictable, it's preventable. I've worked at schools where some of our children, brace yourselves, colleagues, I'm going to swear in a moment, but some of our students don't come into school to learn. They come into school to be loved. Now, I'm sorry I've mentioned the L word. Hopefully no one's going to log out on me, but I might be able to redeem myself by saying I think we should spread love as thick as my mum spreads butter. My mum spreads butter thick, by the way. As a child, I wasn't sure whether it was cheese or butter at one stage because she sliced it rather than spread butter. But I don't mean love how I love my dog or how I love Everton, even though we're rubbish, or my family and friends. If you want some, again, a little book recommendation, there's a great book by Dr. Andrew Curran. Dr. Andrew Curran. You can YouTube him as well, by the way, and you'll get some great little talks online, especially through Independent Thinking Limited, who did a great conversation with Andrew. But he's got a book called The Little Book of the Brain. He talks about 7 steps to healthy brain development in children. The 6th step, they must experience the wider sense of love. And he describes love as empathy, compassion, kindness, respect, dignity. So and I worry that sometimes people think love is about family and friends, or they sexualize the word love. I think love is to act. It could be, in terms of this stuff, that I'm going to make a cup of tea and I say to Shane Roberts, would you like a brew while I'm making one? I'm popping the shop to get a sandwich. Do you need anything, James? It could be I'll cover your break because I know you've got an important meeting coming up, so I'll cover your duty. This little bit, when I linked to the phrase when I said some children come to school to learn, others come to school to be loved. If you don't know your students well, you'll never be able to figure out those unmet needs. And that's the bit where I worry that behaviour policies focus on 4 things, colleagues, and please interrupt me at any point, don't forget. But I think most behaviour policies, first and foremost, focus on the behaviours you don't want rather than the behaviours you do want. I also think most behaviour policies ask these 4 questions. What's happened to gather facts? Who's to blame? What rule's been broken and what punishment fits the rule breaking? What we're asking people to reflect on is what's happened. What's the impact on people and relationships? And the third part, what needs to be different moving forwards? What needs to happen to prevent a reoccurrence? Now, some of you will be thinking about, well, where's the consistency? And don't forget, I've only got you for an hour and we've only got 27 minutes left. But what I'm trying to do is just get you to thinking about, what would it look like if a policy, procedure, systems, practice, behaviours put the importance of driving strong connection, developing a sense of belonging, because every day students and staff will ask, do I belong around here? Because what we want to do is develop a sense of community, because our children, students, passengers in your school are part of the crew. Are they part of the audience or part of the cast? That goes the same for staff. I've worked in schools where we talk about consistency. Secondary school, in my mind at the moment, where shirts tucked in and top buttons done up are important, for example. Piercings not in, AirPods not out, phones away in school. But I spend my day battling with students to get the right tone, and other staff just breeze past students. What we're getting to really thinking about is organisations that start to have a really strong sense of culture or practice. Because even linking to the walking past shirts, I think you'll get the behaviours you're willing to walk past. I also think if you've got a student who has one of the toughest home lives you could imagine, consistency is key. But another little phrase I'd love you to think about, colleagues, is flexible consistency. Because there's no equality in treating everybody equal. We had a student in our school, year 7. He used to come in with white trainers on, but if you know David really well, you'll know that that's the only pair of footwear he owns. If you know David well, you'll know he's on a child protection plan. If you know David really well and you've been to David's house, you'll know he hasn't got his own bedroom at the moment. He hasn't even got his own bed. He's got a mattress in the kitchen. If you know David really well, by the way, I've changed his name's not David. But if you know David really well, he comes in late regularly because he dropped his brother and sister off at primary school. You know, if you know David really well, he goes to sleep at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning because that's when his mum goes to sleep and he knows she's safe. I won't keep going, but you can imagine some of the other things that are going on at home. But David's behaviour, colleagues, on occasions is off the wall. But what are our values and attitudes and beliefs? Because if you're not familiar with the wonderful Mary Myatt, and I'm sure lots of colleagues are, one of my favourite quotes of Mary's is, values should be lived and not laminated.